అమెరికాలో ఉన్నత చదువు మంచి ఉద్యోగం ఎంతోమంది భారతీయ విద్యార్థుల కల. For reasons well known, US is the most preferred destination for the Indian students. అయితే భారతీయ విద్యార్థుల పట్ల అమెరికన్ వీసా పాలసీస్ మారుతున్నాయనే వార్తలు వస్తున్న క్రమంలో ఎన్నో భయాలు, ఎన్నో అనుమానాలు, సందేహాలు. అంతేకాదు యుఎస్లో ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇప్పుడు కష్టంగా మారిందా? వాట్ అబౌట్ హేట్ క్రైమ్స్ ఇన్ ద యుఎస్? ఇలా ఎన్నో క్వశ్చన్స్ స్టూడెంట్స్ని వాళ్ళ పేరెంట్స్ని వెంటాడుతున్నాయి. అందుకే యుఎస్ కాన్సులేట్తో కలిసి TV9 ఇవాళ ఇంటరాక్టివ్ సెషన్ని ఏర్పాటు చేసింది. వీ హ్యావ్ వెరీ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్డ్ ప్యానల్ హూ వుడ్ గివ్ అ క్లియర్ ఇన్సైట్ ఇన్ టు ద ఇష్యూ. స్టూడెంట్స్ అడిగే క్వశ్చన్స్కి మీ సందేహాలకి వాళ్ళు సమాధానాలు చెప్తారు. But before we start the panel discussion, may I now introduce the Consul General Hyderabad, Ms. Catherine Hadda. Ms. Hadda is a career member of the Senior Foreign Service with 29 years of experience in policy positions in Asia, Europe, and Washington, D.C. She recently served as Minister Consular for Economic Affairs at the U.S. Embassy in Rome, where she promoted bilateral and regional trade and investment, entrepreneurship, and improved cybersecurity. Originally from New York City, she received her Bachelor of Arts degree in Sociology from Smith College and her Master of Arts degree in International Affairs from Columbia University. May I now request Ms. Catherine Hadda to kindly be seated on the dais. Thank you, ma'am. మన ప్యానల్ని కూడా పరిచయం చేస్తాను. ఫస్ట్లీ మిస్టర్ విలియం నాష్, ద ఫారిన్ సర్వీస్ ఆఫీసర్. ఆయన యుఎస్ కాన్సులేట్ జనరల్ హైదరాబాద్లో కాన్సులర్ ఆఫీసర్గా వర్క్ చేస్తున్నారు. మే ఇన్వైట్ మిస్టర్ విలియం నాష్. నెక్స్ట్ ఆన్ ద ప్యానల్ శ్రావణి పెర్రే. ఆవిడ యుఎస్లో కమ్యూనికేషన్స్లో మాస్టర్స్ చేశారు అండ్ ప్రస్తుతం ఎడ్యుకేషన్ యుఎస్ఏ అడ్వైజర్గా వ్యవహరిస్తున్నారు. మిస్ శ్రావణి, ప్లీజ్. We also have Arpita Soma, the co-founder of Yograd. ఆవిడ హైదరాబాద్ ఉస్మానియా యూనివర్సిటీలో ఇంజనీరింగ్లో బ్యాచిలర్స్ చేశారు. అంతేకాదు ఎన్వైరన్మెంటల్ ఇంజనీరింగ్లో మాస్టర్స్ చేశారు ఫ్రమ్ యూనివర్సిటీ ఆఫ్ సిన్సినాటి, ఒహాయో. In 2014, Arpita co-founded Yograd. It's a community for students to network, learn, share, and have fun. May I welcome Arpita. We also have the CEO of Sadahak, Pallav Bajuri. He's an undergraduate degree చేశారు in computer engineering at Boston University's College of Engineering. అంతేకాదు సడాహక్, కహానియా ఈ రెండు కంపెనీస్కి కో-ఫౌండర్గా సీఈఓగా వ్యవహరిస్తున్నారు. ఈ రెండు కంపెనీస్ డే టు డే ఆపరేషన్స్ మేనేజ్ చేయడమే కాదు, హీ లుక్స్ ఆఫ్టర్ ద ప్రోడక్ట్ అండ్ బిజినెస్ స్ట్రాటజీ ఆల్సో. మే ఇన్వైట్ మిస్టర్ పల్లవ్. May I now request the Consul General, Ms. Catherine Hadda, to address the students.
I want to thank TV9 for having us here today. I think this is a very important topic and one that's really important to us. Our consulate is about 9 years old now, and we have a variety of activities that we're very proud to support. But of course, our bread and butter, the thing that really drives us are visas and consular issues, general support to our American citizens, and it really is a lot of what we do. I just want to say a few words about the value of a U.S. education and how we value our Indian exchange students. You know, people go to universities or colleges for a variety of reasons, but usually the core reason is they want a better future for themselves. And that future can mean that they're better equipped to get the kind of job that they want. It means they have a financially secure future for their families. It could mean that they help their communities, their country in becoming a better place. There are a lot of different reasons that people find or have a need, a hunger for an advanced education. For many students also, when they go and study at a college or a university, it's a transformational time for their lives. It's not just what we would call the book education the formal education that's important to them. It's what they learn about life and about making their own decisions, about taking control of their own destinies. And where they get a lot of that is from their fellow students, or the kinds of activities they might even engage in after class, be it that sort of extra conversation with a professor or a teaching associate, or just their classmates, or frankly, people studying other disciplines. You know, maybe you learn something from them as well. You know, you learn about people. Maybe you had a certain idea of what people, if you study elsewhere in India, you know, maybe you had an idea of what Northern Indians would be like, or they had an idea of what you'd be like, or you meet people from other countries, other communities, and so you break stereotypes. In fact, we're fond of saying that what you unlearn at university can be just as important as what you learn. Now, we find that Indian students who study in the United States are not just taking an exciting step for themselves and for their own future with their higher education, but they're also furthering the strong people-to-people ties that we see just blossoming between India and the United States, most recently by the visit of Prime Minister Modi to Washington and his meeting with President Trump. But more than that, just the many, many ways in which ordinary Indians, well, everyone's special, but, non-official Indians and non-official Americans communicate day to day. So these students develop professional relationships and lasting friendships, and they participate when they come back to India. Typically they are the entrepreneurs, they are the leaders in their communities. They help their communities, they help us. We have wonderful alumni who work with us and promote our work together on mutual interests in a variety of areas. Right now, there are 166,000 Indian students studying in the United States, and that makes India the second largest sender of foreign students to the United States. It is actually the fastest growing group of students in the United States as well. So what that means is 1 out of 6 international students studying in the United States comes from India. And these students, I have to say, they don't just get the benefit themselves. American students really value having international classmates. In fact, as you heard from my probably too long biography, I did go to study international affairs at Columbia University, and even though I was studying international affairs and had lived and studied overseas myself, I still remember my international colleagues very well and what I learned from them. So we have actually 4,500 accredited colleges and universities in the United States. So that's a very wide variety of schools. And many of them offer the best-in-class education that you can have. So it can be a little bewildering, maybe, to learn about these schools and try and figure out which ones are right for you. And what the process is for getting there. So that's what this panel's for, and a lot of that will be explained to you, but I just want to give a little shout out to a couple of the organizations from our end who are here to help us today. One is Education USA, that's Shravani's organization, and Education USA prepares students for academic life in the United States, and they do that by providing assistance in a couple of ways. We have 7 advising centers throughout India. There's one at our consulate in Hyderabad. You can make an appointment to go and see them there, or a lot of times they're doing what Shravani is doing right now and reaching out in events such as this one, online chats. and things like that. So what do they do exactly? They will help you as a student find a perfect fit. Not necessarily the specific school, but the specific type of school, the range of schools that might be appropriate for you and your interests and your personal preferences. They can advise you on how to submit a competitive application. You know, what kind of things would stand out, or what does an admissions committee at an American college or university look for when they see a student application. And also, Will Nash, who's here, is representing our consular team at the consulate, and they're also super dedicated. They spend long hours processing, having interviews, processing visas, and then they take time out in addition to travel to schools and communities throughout the 3 states and our consular district to explain the visa process, and just as importantly, to dispel common myths. A lot of times the people get the idea of what we're looking for, and it really is not truth. I do want to, before I close off, I want to speak very directly to the issue of reported hate crimes in the United States, and just say that Americans are really united in just condemning these kind of despicable attacks. We know they're a source of concern. They're not at all consistent with our fundamental values. American officials, senior American officials from President Trump on down, have universally condemned these attacks, as have ordinary Americans. But I have to say that fortunately, reports always loom large in the media, but for the vast, vast majority of international students or any students in the United States, our campuses are extremely safe places. They typically have their own security offices. Those security offices work very closely with local law enforcement so that when people are out and about in the local community, they can also feel safe. American colleges and universities are known for their culture of tolerance and how much they valued diversity. And in fact, America as a country would not be America, the country, without an extremely diverse population, both ethnic and religious population. In fact, I'm the child of immigrants, and I think a lot of my colleagues are also children of immigrants, or immigrants themselves, as a matter of fact. So I just want to say that I am confident that you all will benefit greatly from a diverse educational and cultural opportunities that are available to you from study in the United States. So once again, on behalf of the U.S. government, I want to welcome all students who are interested in studying and traveling in the United States. I hope you will be among them. I hope you find this session rewarding. And again, I want to thank Channel 9 very much for giving us this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hadda. I think some of the questions have already been answered, but still the students have a lot more questions to pose to the panel. Anyway, that was a great message for all the Indian students. We really appreciate your valuable time and effort. Would you like to comment on the changed US policies towards India?
There actually are no changed U.S. policies regarding visas. There are certain classes of categories of visas that are under review, but student visas are actually not one of them. So we absolutely welcome students who study in the United States, and there are no changes imminent yet. If what you're talking about is our H-1B, I know a lot of students go on to want H-1B temporary worker visas in the United States. Do you mind if I'm taking over from you on this? Okay, because he's really the expert. But I can tell you that there's no change there either. Agencies have been asked to review the program, but nothing has changed. And in fact, any change that would happen, we'd see coming quite a bit in advance, because it would have to be changed by our Congress. We can't, the administration, not even the president can on his own change the policy. So sorry, it's kind of a...
Thank you so much, Ms. Hadda, and the panel discussion would...
I just want to pose a question to the visa officer. We had bitter experience of students who applied for visa. Some of them said that they will allow the officer will allow just few minutes, and they will just reject simply without any reasons. we people don't have any professional experience for, to such kind of officers. Is there any special reason to cancel their visa?
Hi, namaskaram. Thank you for that question. So I can't really speak to a specific situation in which someone might have had a particular experience. I think I can speak on behalf of all the consular officers and say that we all look at an applicant very holistically. We consider all the factors. We don't consider one thing in particular. But generally, we're trying to get at two things. Number one, is this person academically prepared as a student? And number two, are they able to afford the degree program that they're pursuing? And if we don't find that, then we do provide the person with a piece of paper with some information on the reason for the decision that we're giving. Thank you.
As most of the Indian students face problems with university accreditation in America, how can I find out the recognized and non-recognized universities in USA? If accreditation is cancelled out between the semesters, what will be the help from your side?
Thank you for that question. First of all, chala important question adigaru and chala manchi question adigaru. Various students ki kuda useful information adi. First of all, accreditation ante recognition. You probably know that already, but for the students who don't know that, manam India lo we just use the term recognition instead of accreditation. Ikkada UGC alanti boards ela untayo అలాగే యుఎస్లో కూడా ఒక వెబ్సైట్ ఉంటుంది. యుఎస్ గవర్నమెంట్ వెబ్సైట్ కూడా చూసుకోవచ్చు. ద వెబ్సైట్ where you can check whether the university is accredited or not is called the Council for Higher Education Accreditation, www.chea.org. ప్లీజ్ నోట్ చేసుకోండి. అండ్ అక్కడ ఆ వెబ్సైట్కి వెళ్తే ఒక ఫుల్ డేటాబేస్ ఉంటుంది. మీ యూనివర్సిటీ పేరు టైప్ చేసి అందులో పెడితే all the accrediting bodies, a program accredited ayi undo ledo akkada anni information anta vastundi. And inkokati what you really need to keep in mind is manam ikkada edaina state wide anukunte or nation wide anukunte adi inka peddadi lekapothe goppadi ani anukuntamo, but US lo opposite. You should look for regional accreditation as opposed to national accreditation. అక్కడ నేషనల్ అక్రెడిటేషన్ అంటే వొకేషనల్ కోర్సెస్ కోసం, అండ్ రీజనల్ అక్రెడిటేషన్ ఈజ్ డెఫినెట్లీ మోర్ వాల్యుబుల్. ఇంకోటి మీరు టెక్నికల్ డిగ్రీకి వెళ్తున్నారు అనుకోండి, లైక్ అన్ ఇంజనీరింగ్ డిగ్రీ, దెన్ లుక్ ఫర్ సంథింగ్ కాల్డ్ ABET, ABET accreditation. That's very important. And definitely you should look for accredited universities endukante you're spending so much time, resources, you want your degree to be of value. Andike ensure that the university that you're going to is accredited. And me next question ki answer entante, in case you feel that in the middle something happens, usually akkada universities will allow you to transfer to another university. ఇన్ కేస్ ఆ కరెంట్ యూనివర్సిటీ ఏదైతే ఉందో దాని అక్రెడిటేషన్ మధ్యలో వాళ్ళు క్యాన్సిల్ చేశారు అనుకోండి, మీకు గ్రేస్ పీరియడ్ దొరుకుతుంది where you can transfer to another university. కానీ you have to ensure that the other university you're transferring to is also accredited. That's very important. And inkokati you should keep in mind that in the US, accreditation is not enforced. It's a voluntary process. So universities they say that we want to be accredited because we meet these quality standards. So nobody is going to go and force them to get accredited. So it's up to you as a student to ensure that you go to a university and check for accreditation before you go there.
When you give a F1 visa after checking all the details, then why does CBP office cross-check all the details again at arrival? In most cases, students come back from USA for small reasons. Can you tell us why this happens?
Again, I can't really talk about a specific circumstance because I was not there whenever the CBP officer might have looked at somebody's visa. But I can say the structure of how the American government works is we issue the visa, which is basically your right to knock on the door of the United States. And then a CBP officer, which is a different department, that person makes the decision as well as to whether to admit the person. So if there's something that the CBP thinks that we did not consider when we gave you a visa, then it is in their right to refuse somebody entry.
How many times can I apply for F1 visa? If rejected, what are the supporting documents I need to produce for the second attempt, for the next attempt?
So there's not really a number of times that anyone can apply for an F1 visa as many times as they want under the law. So If you go and you're rejected, it is your right to apply again. On the second part of the question as to what you should bring, it really should be a consistent documentation you're bringing to each and every interview. So nothing changes between your first and your second interview. You should have everything with you that you want in order to show your academic preparedness and then your ability to pay for your degree the first time you go to the interview. And then obviously you'll want to have those same documents the second time, so nothing really changes there. Thanks.
My relatives are in USA and they would like to effort for my education. And I'm going to apply for the university which is near to their residence. Is this mandatory for, in my case, to show the financial proof in my bank account?
What I would say on that question, thank you for the question, is that anyone, regardless of where the funding is coming from, whether it's a relative in the United States, whether it's a bank loan, any other source of funding that you may have, is you'll want to have the documentation with you if the consular officer says, hey, can you show me the bank loan? Can you show me where that funding is coming from? So I would have it available. You may not be asked to present it in that circumstance, but you certainly may.
There are many consultancies in India and most of them try to attract the students with their offers. And do US government provide any certification to these consultancies? How can we trust this consultancy?
No, there's no certification. I think we rely on EdUSA in order to give information that we think is credible. So we really can't speak to any particular consultant here, and it's at your own risk situation if you go and speak with them. Thanks.
So I just wanted to know if there is any orientation program in the US consulate to the students who apply for the US education, like on precautions and what to do and what not to do.
Education USA is a State Department network. Ante we've been established by the US government ikkada to help students like you navigate through the application process. What we essentially do is we've divided the entire application process into 5 easy steps for you. The first one being researching your options, the second one being financing your education, third one completing your application, fourth preparing for a student visa, and the fifth one is preparing for your departure. So through these 5 steps, we guide students. We have a lot of resources that will help students navigate through the process, and we will ensure that we step in case you need any support through any of these 5 steps. It's very easy to reach out to us. You can just email us for an appointment and you can come and visit us for a one-on-one advising session. Alternatively, you can come to the American Corner, which the US government has set up in St. Francis College for women in Begumpet. And we're there every Thursday to just take questions that students may have. You can walk in, you don't need an appointment for the Thursday session. We do specialized information sessions on Thursday, depending on the admission cycle. So say for instance, we may have a university representative talking about how to write a good essay to go to the US for your higher education. Or we can talk about a topic like how to cut costs when you're in college. So different topics connected to the admission cycle. And sometimes we just have Ask an Advisor session where you can walk in and just ask the advisor anything that you like or any question that you have about education in the US. We do Friday webinars, which are free for everyone. All you need is internet connectivity. You just can click on the link and access this webinar. Again, they're topic specific. A lot of US university representatives come and present on specific topics. And they can tell you not just about their particular university or school, but even general information about higher education in the US. Ivi chala interactive sessions kuda. You can type in your questions and get them answered by either the Education USA advisor or the US Higher University, US University Higher Education rep. So all our services are free. Please do make use of them. We've been like you. And you have to remember that we are your official source for information on higher education in the US.
కొన్ని క్వశ్చన్స్ తీసుకునే ముందు పల్లవ్ మీరేమన్నా మీ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ షేర్ చేసుకుంటారా? మీరు యూఎస్లో కంప్యూటర్ ఇంజనీరింగ్ చేశారు కాబట్టి డూస్ అండ్ డోన్స్ ఏమైనా చెప్తారా స్టూడెంట్స్కి?
డూస్ అండ్ డోన్స్ అనే దానికంటే యూఎస్ అనేది ఇట్స్ ఎ వెరీ ఫన్ ప్లేస్ టు బీ. ఐఎమ్ ప్రెటీ షూర్ వన్ ఆఫ్ ద రీజన్స్ ఫర్ ఎ లాట్ ఆఫ్ యూ అప్లయింగ్ టు గో టు ద యూఎస్ బిసైడ్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ is also that you'll have a lot of fun, and which is true. I was there for about 6 years, some of the best times in my life. And doesn't matter which university you go to, మీకు ఎప్పుడైనా సరే మీ ఇమిగ్రేషన్ పరంగా కానీ లేకపోతే కమ్యూనిటీ పరంగా కానీ ఎనీ క్వశ్చన్స్ వచ్చినప్పుడు ఎవ్రీ యూనివర్సిటీ విల్ హ్యావ్ అన్ ఇంటర్నేషనల్ అఫైర్స్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ అండ్ they are your first line of support. So we had our own international department and they were very helpful people. So keep that in mind. ఎప్పుడైనా ఏదైనా ప్రాబ్లం వచ్చిందంటే ఇంటర్నేషనల్ అఫైర్స్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్కి వెళ్ళండి అండ్ డోంట్స్ అంటే don't do anything illegal. There's no specific don'ts out there in the US. Do not drink in public. Do not do unwieldy things in public. That's pretty much it. Just be a good citizen of India. In the US, you're still good.
I'd like to say everything is different. US lo everything is different. Ikkada, I mean, your centimeters become inches, your kgs become pounds. And road paina just manam nadustu untamu, somebody they'll casually smile at you and say good morning. You actually feel very good about yourself. But India lo manki evaranna atla oka smile iste enti vidu tedagada anukunta. Similarly, people hold doors for you. People are extremely polite. So, ikkada manki evarana door padkunte, is he hitting on me? That's the first thought. So, I would say it's a new country, it's a new culture, and it's a very nice place. I think, there'll be complete transformation of your life. What I would say is, don't be like, acha, India lo itla, Hyderabad lo itla, ma country lo itla. Just be open. Embrace the country, embrace their culture. I mean, all the positives. And I'm sure you'll have a very good experience. Yeah, support system and all, like Pallav said, every university has an international students department and there will be a lot of seniors who will help you out. But then, don't be very stubborn, be open. And the experience will be a life-changing one. Once you finish your master's in the US, you get used to doing things on your own. And probably once, you start working, you move to a new place, you'll have to do, set up a home, start your life all over again. And ఒక్కసారి మాస్టర్స్ చేసి యుఎస్లో జాబ్ చేస్తే ఎక్కడన్నా బతుకుతామన్న కాన్ఫిడెన్స్ అయితే ఖచ్చితంగా వస్తుంది.
So obviously I was not an international student in the United States, but I was a law student until 2014, so it wasn't too long ago. And so I'm speaking now as a student, former student, not as a consular officer. And I will say, in the program that I did, we had a lot of what are called LLM students. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but it's basically like a master's degree in law, and it's for international students to come to the law school. So one thing that I felt like I really benefited from is in the US, we had a very kind of, what is US law, what does that mean? And kind of it was pretty rigid in terms of my understanding, and it was very interesting for me to have all these international law students in the classroom with me who would give the perspective of, well, law in India means this, or law in Germany means this. And so one piece of advice I would give to you, if you're studying in the US students want to hear from you. Like the reason that the classrooms work so well in the US is because they do a good job of fostering a very kind of inclusive environment where everyone is encouraged to share their thoughts and opinions. And so don't be shy, try not to be shy while you're in the classroom. Express your thoughts and opinions because your classmates really do want to hear from you.
And I'm pursuing my graduation in JB group of institutions. When you limit the H1Bs, why can't you limit the F1 visas? Because many of us are getting over there and pursuing higher educations in like MS, but only a few are getting jobs over there. So what do we say on this?
Okay, now I'm speaking as a consular officer again. Can you elaborate just a little bit on what you mean by limit H1Bs and limit F1s? What does that mean? Are you talking about the quota that's every year of H1Bs?
Yes, the number of visas being issued.
Okay, so you're thinking there should be a quota on the number of F1s? Is that the idea?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so a lot of the reason that we're all here is because the United States definitely encourages people to study in the US. So I don't think the universities would be well served if there was a limit on the number of international students. We want students to come and study in the United States. We want students to have that opportunity, and we want US students to benefit from having such an international student body. I can't speak on the limit for H1Bs. That's definitely a separate issue, and that is kind of a congressional issue with the number that are limited. any given year. But in terms of international education, we want to encourage students to come to the US. So I don't think there's many people now that are talking about limiting the number of students that come.
But his concern is that students are remaining jobless after pursuing their masters in the US.
Yeah, which is certainly a concern. It's not something that we control. That's a number that's set every year. There is an opportunity for OPT, obviously, after you study, but I know that that's obviously a limited amount of time. And so at this point, the system is capped at a certain number. Will that change in the future? I think there's a lot of conversation, but no one knows at this point.
Yearly, lakhs of students are going to USA for pursuing MS. So I feel that state government and US visa officials should check colleges which produce graduates and weed out the colleges which are not up to the mark. And because many students are wasting their time and money by going to that colleges. So is there any special kind of mechanism which works with the Indian government?
I think it's very important that you as a student should be an informed consumer. మీరు ఇప్పుడు బైక్ కొనడానికి వెళ్ళినా మొబైల్ కొనడానికి వెళ్ళినా ఎంతమంది ఫ్రెండ్స్ని అడుగుతారు దట్ బెస్ట్ మోడల్ ఏంటి, బెస్ట్ ఆప్షన్ ఏంటి, ఇది ఎంత మైలేజ్ ఇస్తుంది, లేకపోతే దీని కెమెరా ఎలా ఉంది, ఇఫ్ ఇట్స్ అ ఫోన్. సో మీరు యూనివర్సిటీకి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు వెన్ యూర్ స్పెండింగ్ సో మచ్ మనీ, సో మచ్ టైమ్, సో మచ్ ఆఫ్ యువర్ పేరెంట్స్ మనీ అండ్ సో మెనీ రీసోర్సెస్, అప్పుడు కూడా అంతే రీసెర్చ్ చేసుకుని వెళ్ళాలి. దట్స్ వై రీసెర్చ్ ఈజ్ వెరీ వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఇంకోటి, వాట్ విల్ వర్క్ ఫర్ యూ మే నాట్ వర్క్ ఫర్ యువర్ ఫ్రెండ్. మీ కెపాసిటీ ఒకలాగా ఉండొచ్చు, మీ ఫ్రెండ్ కెపాసిటీ ఒకలాగా ఉండొచ్చు, మీ క్లాస్లో టాపర్ కెపాసిటీ ఇంకొకలాగా ఉండొచ్చు. సో ఇట్ డిపెండ్స్ ఆన్ వాట్స్ అ గుడ్ ఫిట్ ఫర్ యూ. ఇక్కడ మన ఇండియాలో వీ యూస్ టు అ కట్ ఆఫ్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ అ సిస్టమ్. మీకు 90% వస్తే ఈ యూనివర్సిటీలో వస్తుంది, 60% వస్తే ఈ యూనివర్సిటీలో వస్తుంది. యూఎస్లో అలా కాదు. ఇట్స్ అ హోలిస్టిక్ రివ్యూ. ఒకటి మీ మార్క్స్ చూస్తారు, మీ జిఆర్ఈ స్కోర్స్ చూస్తారు, లేకపోతే వేరే టెస్ట్ స్కోర్స్ చూస్తారు, మీ ఎక్స్ట్రా కరిక్యులర్ యాక్టివిటీస్ చూస్తారు, వర్క్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ చూస్తారు. సో ఇట్స్ నాట్ డిపెండెంట్ ఓన్లీ ఆన్ వన్ ఫ్యాక్టర్. అది మీరు మైండ్లో ఉంచుకుని డిఫరెంట్ పీపుల్కి డిఫరెంట్ కెపాసిటీస్ ఉంటాయి, వాళ్ళకి డిఫరెంట్ ఫిట్స్ ఉంటాయి. ఇప్పుడు మీకు యాజ్ అ స్టూడెంట్ ఒక ప్రెఫరెన్స్ ఉండొచ్చు. మేబీ యూ వాంట్ అ యూనివర్సిటీ దట్స్ ఇన్ అ బిగ్ సిటీ బికాస్ దట్స్ వాట్ యూ వాంట్ టు ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్. బట్ యువర్ ఫ్రెండ్ ప్రిఫర్స్ కొంచెం లేట్ బ్యాక్, అంత హసిల్ అండ్ బసిల్ వద్దు. సో యూ వాంట్స్ లైక్ మోర్ ఆఫ్ అ కాలేజ్ టౌన్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ అన్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్. సో ఎవ్రీబడి హ్యాస్ అ డిఫరెంట్ ప్రెఫరెన్స్ అండ్ దట్ ఈస్ వాట్ ఈస్ ద బ్యూటీ ఆఫ్ ద హైయర్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ సిస్టమ్ ఇన్ ద US. It caters to the different needs of different students. And because it's a holistic review, the onus is on you to do the research as a student. So Meeru, I know there are 4,500 accredited universities. I know it's a challenge. Kani, that's where we help. That's why Education USA is here to help you. We can help you shortlist your universities for you. You know, I won't tell you go here versus go there because we're the government and we're not supposed to be biased to any one university. Kani, I'll help you arrive at your decision. I can tell you things like, you know, if you come and tell me that I'm looking for a university that's not very expensive, like I want a university in this price range, then I can tell you information like, oh, you know, ee state lo cost of living takku untundi, koncham meer coasts ki velte cost of living perugutundi. So, you know, nuanced information like that you would probably need while making your decision on shortlisting your university.
Sorry to interrupt you. Ante alanti cost cutting lantivi consider cheste, will we be compromising on the standard of education in that university?
Not at all. Definitely not. There's nothing like because the university is very competitive, it costs more than others. It's not like that. It just depends on the location and the cost of living of that. See, Manakuda, India lo, Bombay lo, and the cost of living untundo is much higher than what it is in Hyderabad. US lo kuda ante. If you're staying in a city like New York, it will cost you much more than a city like probably Indianapolis, which is in the middle of the US in the Midwest. So, you know, our variation anedi manaki ikkad nunchi teliyadam chala kashtam as a student. But that's why your research becomes so important, and that's why we're here to help as well. Yes, please, Arpita.
I would say, you know, you have to look at it as your first step to studying in the US because, you know, the way you research your universities, the way you research, you know, which college to go to or which place to study in, the same reflects, I think, in your classrooms later on. Because manakitla ivala nen computer science chestunna ikkada ante you have some set courses that you have to take. It's not the same in US. You pick your courses. You know, you pick what you want to study. మీకు VLSI ఇంట్రెస్ట్ ఉంటే దానికి తగ్గ కోర్సెస్ మీరు పిక్ చేసుకుంటారు. ఆర్ ఇఫ్ యూఆర్ ఇన్ సివిల్ ఇంజనీరింగ్ యూ పిక్ కోర్సెస్ దట్ యూ వాంట్. దెర్ ఇస్ నో హార్డ్ అండ్ ఫాస్ట్ రూల్కి మీరు ఇదే కోర్స్ చేయాలి, ఈ సెమిస్టర్లో ఈ సబ్జెక్ట్ తీసుకోవాలి అనేసి. సో లుక్ అట్ దిస్ యాజ్ అ ప్రిపరేషన్ టు యువర్ స్టూడెంట్ లైఫ్ ఇన్ ది US. I would say that.
Apart from F1 visas for students for higher education, why can't US government plan of setting up a universities in India?
Okay, so I can probably address your question a little bit. And I can tell you for a fact that a lot of universities are considering that. Chala established universities ki already India lo offices unnai. They have started. I know for a fact University of Chicago has an office in Delhi. So it's a start. They are thinking about it. Kani a lot of the support has to come from the Indian government. And that is technically, I mean, it is, I'm hoping that they do manage to make those, to reach those parts in the future. Kani, there are a bunch of things that they have to look into. Okati, mana education system in terms of credits and years, and it's not a very flexible system. Konchu rigid ga untundi. And just like how Arpita mentioned, in the US, it's very flexible. You can choose your courses, you can customize your degree, you can have a bespoke degree and do what you like, based on what your interests are. You can do a dual degree. India lo, it's a little more rigid, where everything is pre-decided for you. And inkokati akkada credits based system untundi, where you study for a certain number of hours, and here it's different. It's based on the course that you choose and a number of years and stuff. So all this, there are a lot of technical aspects that act as barriers in doing that, but I know for a fact US universities are very open to doing that. They have campuses in other countries, like for instance NYU has a campus in Abu Dhabi. I don't see why they can't have campuses in India as well. I'm sure that that's something that they are considering in the future.
I would like to do my MS in USA. What will you prefer, GRE, TOEFL and IELTS? Among these three, which one you will prefer?
What a US university will need, most universities will require you to give the GRE. Again, it's not compulsory for all universities. But I would recommend giving it. Endukante, if you're not going to apply to only one university, meeru apply chesinappudu you look for at least on an average 5 to 7 universities, master students aithe, and oka university ki GRE requirement undi inkoka university ki ledankondi elago meer ivvali. So might as well prepare well and get a good score and give the GRE. And also sometimes if a university is not asking for the GRE, it will kind of make me wonder, వేరే యూనివర్సిటీస్ అన్నీ అడుగుతున్నారు GRE కోసం, వీళ్ళు ఎందుకు అడగట్లేదు, maybe what, so then dig a little deeper. Some very good schools also don't have a requirement for a GRE, ఎందుకంటే వాళ్ళు they have other preferences, like maybe they want you to have some amount of work experience or something like that. కానీ if you're a fresh graduate and you want to prove that academically మీకు కొంచెం you have this prowess, you're a good student, GRE is one way to do that. Right? And some universities have a definite requirement that yes, we need the GRE. So might as well write it. That's a good idea for you to give the GRE. Inkokati, English language proficiency is a must for almost all universities in the US. If they're not asking for an English language requirement, adi matram nen red flag lagane chustanu. So you ensure that you can choose whether you want to give the TOEFL or the IELTS. It's up to you. Most US universities will accept both. Inkokati Pearson's test for English kuda undi, adi kuda English language proficiency test. So me ishtam adi. If you think you're applying to other countries like Australia or the UK, then maybe giving the IELTS is a better option for you, because vallandaru kuda ade accept chestaru. If you're very focused on only going to the US, then it's a good idea to give the TOEFL.
What I mentioned earlier, we definitely, consular officers are looking for a very holistic picture of you as a student. One part of that is potentially your GRE score or a score on an exam. It's definitely, if you're talking to their friends and they're saying it's the only thing that we consider, that is certainly not true. We just want to see, we're talking to you as a person, what kind of student will this person be? Are they able to understand the conversation well? Do they have good goals in the US? How did they do in their undergrad? Because that obviously may predict how they're going to do in a master's program. And the GRE is just one small piece of data point. If a school requires it, then that tells us something, but it's only a limited amount of information. So I wouldn't focus too hard on just one thing like a GRE or a specific test, but it is part of the overall picture that we look at.
I want to do my master's in US. So which courses do you suggest for getting placed after MS?
ప్రయారిటీస్ ఎట్లా చూస్తున్నారు అనేది బిగ్గెస్ట్ కన్సర్న్ అండి ఇక్కడ. ఏ కోర్స్ చేస్తే జాబ్ వస్తుంది అని చెప్పడానికి ఈరోజు ఉన్న సిచ్యువేషన్ కాదు. పీపుల్ ఆర్ టాకింగ్ అబౌట్ ఆర్టిఫిషియల్ ఇంటెలిజెన్స్, రోబోటిక్స్ అండ్ మెషిన్ లెర్నింగ్ రీప్లేసింగ్ ఎంటైర్ ఇండస్ట్రీస్. సో ద పాయింట్ ఈజ్ ఈరోజు ఇది చదివితే 4 సంవత్సరాల తర్వాత వస్తుందని చెప్పడానికి లేదు. ద వరల్డ్ ఈస్ చేంజింగ్ ఎక్స్ట్రీమ్లీ ర్యాపిడ్లీ, ఎక్స్ట్రీమ్లీ క్విక్లీ. సో ఏ కోర్స్ చేస్తే జాబ్ వస్తుంది అనే దానికంటే ఏ కోర్స్ చేస్తే ఐ విల్ బీ మోర్ ఏబుల్ టు ట్యాకిల్ ద ఫ్యూచర్ అనే ఆస్పెక్ట్లో ఆలోచించడం బెటర్ నాకు తెలిసినంత వరకు. మీరు కంప్యూటర్ సైన్స్ అంటున్నారు కాబట్టి కంప్యూటర్ సైన్స్ ఐ బిలీవ్ విల్ బి ద ఫ్యూచర్ యాజ్ వెల్. మీరు ఆర్టిఫిషియల్ ఇంటెలిజెన్స్ ఆర్ మెషిన్ లెర్నింగ్ ఆర్ ఈవెన్ ఇంటర్నెట్ ఆఫ్ థింగ్స్ లాంటివి చూస్తుంటే, ఈ మధ్య ఎంబెడెడ్ సిస్టమ్స్ ఇట్లాంటి కోర్సెస్ చూస్తుంటే, these are the things that will continue to exist despite the emergence of artificial intelligence, machine learning, be it whatever, that will potentially upend a number of jobs around the world. So there are specific courses. Again, repeating, artificial intelligence, machine learning, or Internet of Things, embedded systems, even VLSI, any of these courses along the CSC line. So other streams lo vere evaina undochu, but since you are coming from a CSC background, I suggest picking up one of these courses and really focusing only on one of them. If you do a cross discipline and say, if I don't, annitlo okoka raayesti deentlo kaakapothe dantlo ostundi anukunte, that won't happen. You have to pick just one or two at the max and then really focus on doing a deep dive into those. Appudu then you'll have better opportunities and you will be resistant to a lot of change that is happening.
What's the most common reason due to which a student visa gets rejected?
I wouldn't say that there's one common reason, because we don't want to just focus in on one thing. For example, what I was just saying with GRE, it wouldn't be just, okay, this person has a lower GRE score than average. So when I'm speaking with somebody, I'm really trying to get a very good picture of, is this person going to be successful in a US classroom? And obviously, how are they going to pay for this degree? So if I'm speaking with somebody and they just are not able to answer questions effectively, I have trouble understanding what their goals are, I don't know why they chose the university that they chose, and I just don't see them necessarily being a successful student, then it's going to be hard for me to approve them. But it certainly is not just one thing. It isn't just a lower undergrad GPA. It's not just a low score on a test. But I try to give, obviously we only have so much time to talk to someone when they're at our window. It's only a few minutes. So what I'm really trying to do is my goal, so what I promise to do for you, is try to get as much information as I can in that short of a period of time to get a good picture of you as a student. And if I just can't see you succeeding at a university, then that's when I have trouble issuing the visa.
So language, like you said, is what I could understand.
No, it's not.
Is it just that?
No, we understand, well, I would say we understand two things very well. Number one, you're probably going to be nervous, right? It's a very important interview for you. You've spent a lot of time. We're talking about all the things you have to do to even apply for a university. It takes a long time. Studying for the GRE is not fun. I took the GRE. It was not fun. So we understand when you come up to us that there's a lot at stake. It's very important to you. And number two, we also understand English. There are going to be varying degrees of English at the window. My Telugu is very Koncham Telugu. So I understand that the level of your English is going to vary based on your background, and I never want to say you can't have a visa because I think that either you're just too nervous or there's a particular problem with your language. So I really do try to get as much information as I can, and if you're going for certain fields, a lot of the people here obviously going for various science, technology, engineering, math fields. We can try to get information on, okay, what does this person know about engineering? And we understand that language is a little bit different. I was an English undergrad, so if I were in the interview, I better be able to speak English really well, right? But it's a little bit different depending on what field you're going into. And if I can talk to you about a particular topic, whether it's machine learning or otherwise, and all of a sudden you start speaking really fluently, then I have a pretty good idea that you're going to do pretty well in that field and you can succeed in the academic program. All of it we have to do in a very short period of time, so it's a very difficult job for both of us.
My brother, he's in BTech third year now, and he's planning for his MS abroad. Which city you think is the best, and which university is the best?
Okay, so which city in India do you think is the best?
It is based on lifestyle and cost of living.
Lots of criteria kada. Alage US lo kuda it's the same thing. It's nothing like one is the best. You can't really say that this one city is the best. However, it brings us to an important point that in case, for instance, like meer university choose chestunnappudu, also look at industry. Suppose there's like you're interested in doing mechanical or automobile engineering, then Detroit in the US is like a big auto manufacturing hub of the US. So it's probably a good idea to look for a university our area lo. Alage finance ankondi, New York is the financial capital. So it's a good idea to look for universities in and around there. A lot of students like to, like especially Hyderabad nunchi computer science students like to go to the Silicon Valley area, California lo, because akkada chala companies untayi, dan tarvata internships cheyochu, jobs ravachu. So depending on what your interests are, industry is also an important factor for you to consider when you're shortlisting universities. There's nothing like one is the best. And that also takes us back to everyone ki వాళ్ళ own preferences ఉంటాయి కదా. Like some people prefer, like even weather for instance, the US is a vast country. ఒకటే countryలో చాలా different time zones కూడా ఉన్నాయి, మనలా కాదు. So they have extreme conditions in certain areas. Winter low, if say for instance you have a pre-existing condition like asthma or sinusitis and you go to a very very cold place and you can't get out to go to class and all, then it's a problem, right? Andike meer velle mundu you really have to do your research properly and figure out what is good for you as an individual.
Generally every university says it is the best in that area. Then how can we finalize a certain university?
Okay. Okati, as the US government, we do not support rankings. Kani, other people, like especially for a student, I know it's important. So there are some websites out there that do help with rankings. US News ane website okatundi. You can go there and check just for your reference. It's not even hard and fast. Okka year, okka university top position lo untundi. Next year adi maaripotu untundi. Kani it's usually consistent that okka year వాళ్ళు టాప్ లో ఉన్నారంటే డెఫినెట్లీ వాళ్ళ దగ్గర ఈ ఫెసిలిటీస్ ఉన్నాయి, ల్యాబ్స్ ఉన్నాయి, ఇన్ఫ్రాస్ట్రక్చర్ ఉన్నాయి, దే హ్యావ్ అమేజింగ్ ఫ్యాకల్టీ అవైలబుల్. సో మీరు వెళ్ళి ఆ యుఎస్ న్యూస్ అనే వెబ్సైట్ మీద చూసి ఏ ఫీల్డ్కి ఏ యూనివర్సిటీ ఫీచర్స్ ఇన్ ద టాప్ 10 మీ క్రైటీరియా బట్టి, మీ ప్రొఫైల్ బట్టి అది కూడా ఆలోచించుకోవాలి కదా. దిస్ సంథింగ్ కాల్డ్ అన్ యాక్సెప్టెన్స్ రేట్. So every university is not equally competitive. Some obviously are harder. Like India lo to get into an IIT is much harder to get into than any other university kada. So alage US lo kuda it's the same thing. And that's only because it has a very low acceptance rate of students. So if you want to know whether you will be able to get into this university or not, to have a realistic idea, you can look at the selectivity of the university and get to know that by how many students they're accepting, the acceptance rate. And the information anta wal website med untundi. So university website ki velli choose dan med research cheste meer enta deep ga dig cheste anta information ostundi meeku.
ఒకటి ఇండియన్ సిస్టమ్కి యూఎస్ సిస్టమ్కి ఫండమెంటల్ డిఫరెన్స్ ఏముంటుంది అంటే ఇండియన్ సిస్టంలో కాలేజ్ ప్లేస్ ద బిగ్గెస్ట్ రోల్, whereas in the US, given the flexibility of the course that you have, your professors play the biggest role than anyone else. And US system lo oka advantage undedi enti ante you can dig deep into what the professor has been doing. Prati professor ku oka profile untundi university website lo kani even otherwise. And there are specific websites, ratemyprofessor.com and JP, at least it was active when I was in the US. So these are the websites that help you understand how good the professor is in class. So again, as Shravani was saying, you have to do your own research. Ee college manchida kada ante if you just go by rankings, it might be good in terms of rankings, but it might not be a good fit for you. And rankings are much broader. ఇప్పుడు మీరు ఒక స్పెసిఫిక్ కంప్యూటర్ ఇంజనీరింగ్లో ఎంబెడెడ్ సిస్టమ్స్ అనే స్పెసిఫిక్ యాంగిల్లో ఈ ర్యాంకింగ్ అని చెప్పి మీకు ఏ వెబ్సైట్ కూడా చెప్పదు. కంప్యూటర్ సైన్స్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ అక్రాస్ ద కంట్రీ ఈజ్ రేటెడ్ 50 out of 5,000 యూనివర్సిటీస్ అని చెప్తాయి అంతే తప్ప ఈ డిపార్ట్మెంట్లో ఎంబెడెడ్ సిస్టమ్స్ బాగుంది ఆర్ ఈ కాలేజ్లో ఆర్టిఫిషియల్ ఇంటెలిజెన్స్ బాగుంది అని ఎవరు చెప్పరు. యూ హ్యావ్ టు డూ యువర్ ఓన్ రీసెర్చ్ బై లుకింగ్ అట్ వాట్ ద ప్రొఫెసర్స్ ఆర్ డూయింగ్ అండ్ a lot of times your seniors are your best bet. And I'm pretty sure most major colleges in the US has at least one Indian, right? So figure out who that guy is. Your Facebooks, your WhatsApp groups, whatever else there are. Talk to these people. And seniors are, ఇండియాలో ట్రాపో చాలా బాగుంటుంది సీనియర్స్కి జూనియర్స్కి, బట్ యూఎస్ రాని జూనియర్కి యూఎస్లో ఉండే సీనియర్కి ఇంకా ఎక్కువ ర్యాప్ ఉంటుంది. దాట్స్ జనరల్లీ ద కేస్ దట్ ఐ హావ్ సీన్. సో టాక్ టు సీనియర్స్, seek their advice about specific departments as well.
Thank you.
Arpita.
Yeah, I wanted to add pretty much the same thing. You know, research the department, the kind of work, the research work that's happening in the department there. Like, I went to the University of Cincinnati. If you look at rankings, University of Cincinnati top 20 lo ekkada undadu. But there are specific courses. Like, I went for masters in environmental engineering. University of Cincinnati was famous for their environmental engineering department. Similarly, architecture. So they had like a really, really good school for architecture, probably top. It was featured top 5 in the country. So I would say, you know, you have to specifically look for your department. Malli me department lo kuda, like Pallav said, every university website has information of and the research work that the professors are doing. So like there was one professor called Ranga Vemuri in Cincinnati. VLSI lo chala famous. Actually, people used to come to University of Cincinnati to study VLSI there, only to take Ranga Vemuri's course. So atla every university is different, every department is different. Plus when you look at the kind of research the professor is doing, again, you know, it always adds to your degree. There's always a scope for assistantships that you can get when you work with the professor. So like when I went to University of Cincinnati, we had EPA in Cincinnati, Environmental Protection Agency. So there were a lot of professors whose research was funded by the EPA. So atla aa professor kinda work chese vallaki, they would get a chance to go intern at the EPA. So which would add a lot of weightage to your resume, you know, when you're looking for a job later on. So these are what you have to look at while applying to a university. You know, job ante instant ready-made job undadu. So all these factors add up.
I got 320 score in GRE. Could you please suggest me which course I have to take as a pharmacy graduate?
Congratulations on a great score, first of all. And it all depends on what you're interested in. Kada? You have to, eventually you're going there to study. It has to mean something to you. What you do in your masters will probably determine what you're going to do for the rest of your life. So figure out within pharmacy, there's so many other fields, right? There's so many other subdivisions, concentrations, areas of focus. And also you can even think about whether you want to do a master's or even whether you want to do a PhD. చాలా మందికి తెలియదు కానీ బ్యాచిలర్స్ తర్వాతనే యూ కెన్ డూ అన్ ఇంటిగ్రేటెడ్ పిహెచ్డి ఆల్సో ఇన్ ది యూఎస్. ఇఫ్ యూ డన్ రీసెర్చ్ కరెంట్లీ మీ అండర్ గ్రాడ్యుయేట్ లెవెల్లో, you know, you've assisted a professor, you've worked in a lab, you know, during your summer, something like that, and you have some kind of foundation for research, you can go there and even apply. I mean, even before you go, you can apply for an integrated PhD, which is a great thing because you're going to finish probably in 5 years, as opposed to doing a master's for 2 years and then doing another PhD for 5 years. You can do an integrated course for 5 years on the whole. And you can also, you automatically will be assisting a professor in some research that they're doing. So you will get some kind of funding as well. So if you're, or that's only if you're interested in, Koti PhD is a huge commitment. So please think about that before you decide to go, not after. And you can consider that as an option as well. Especially in courses like pharmacy, like Arpita was mentioning, research is, they're very research oriented. So look for a university, look for a professor that is doing research in the area that you're interested in. Your research has to align with what that professor is doing. Start approaching them, maybe write to them if you think that's, you know, that if you're interested in working under them or working with them. And start paving your way to get there. right? You don't have to wait until you graduate or you finish. You can start thinking about and planning well in advance, and that's the biggest secret. That's the one secret probably. The more you plan, the more in advance you plan, the better it is and the more successful you're going to be.
A person who completed PharmD can work as a pharmacist in US?
So you can work for sure, but how H1 visas work is a little different from student visas, and I'll let Will talk about how an H1 visa works.
I'm not sure if I can talk totally to that topic, but are you recently completing a degree, or you already completed a degree and you just want to know what opportunities there are in the United States?
Completed PharmD. She's completed. Recently, last year.
Okay, so you're not looking to study in the United States, right? You're already done with your education. Yeah, I mean, we certainly have a lot of people that come to the consulate and apply for H-1Bs. We're one of the highest issuing H-1B posts in the world. But obviously, we can't really talk about that process. The process of applying for a job in the US is certainly different than applying for schools. But if you want more information on the H-1B visa category, you can certainly find that on the Department of State website, as well as Department of Homeland Security. It is possible, but that does involve applying for a job in a very different process, that then there's an application that's done in the United States before you ever come and see us. Thank you.
My sister is in US on an OTP status. She's there for already 6 months now. So will the new rules impact on her status?
I know that there have been a lot of things proposed with OPT, but I'm not aware of any immediate change in the OPT rules. That is administered, it's not administered by the Department of State, it's actually done by a separate agency within the United States. So whether that will change, I'm not sure, but it's likely that there would be some period of time before that would become effective. So it's very difficult to say in a specific situation if any rule would be effective, thereby impacting anyone currently in the US. I think unfortunately we just have to kind of wait and see if there are any new rules with regards to OPT, and then it'll probably be some period of time after that is proposed before it would ever take effect.
Issue that's causing concern to a lot of students and their parents. Given the recent trend of hate crimes in the US, are the universities in the US safe for Indian students?
I'll speak again kind of as a very recent student, and I felt like where I went to school in Cambridge, Massachusetts was a very, very safe place. I think a lot of the schools in the United States are very concerned with the issue of safety, certainly for all students, and particularly for international students, and a lot of them even have their own police force that operates on campus. And they're there just to make sure that both students don't get into trouble, as well as to make sure that students are safe there. And as the CG mentioned earlier in her remarks, I think there's a consensus. Everyone in the United States feels this issue, and they want to make sure that our students feel safe while they're going to school. We understand that if you're thinking about your safety, you're probably not able to be the student that you can be. And so I think there's a ton of supportive staff both at the university as well as within the local community to make sure that you feel safe while you're a student in the US.
అదే రీసెంట్ ఇన్సిడెంట్స్లో వన్ ఆఫ్ ద రీసెంట్ ఇన్సిడెంట్స్లో ఒక తెలుగు అతను చంపబడితే ఇంకో తెలుగు అతన్ని కాపాడడానికి ఒక అమెరికనే వెళ్ళి సేవ్ చేశాడు. Right, so there's people killing or trying to kill, and at the same time there's a lot more people trying to save. Right, so media reports choosy, honestly speaking, I don't think you can come to a judgment about an entire society that way. College campuses are generally safe. I mean, as the Consulate General was saying, there's 166,000 Indians studying in the US today, ankunnappudu. 1 or 2 incidents over a period of an year is what we see. And compared to that, I think more Indians lose their lives in driving accidents in the US than for hate crimes. And so that's the statistics that I know. I'm not sure if it's right or wrong, but that's one of the statistics that I read, right? So you don't have to feel really, insecure about your safety. It's generally a very safe country. And again, as Will was mentioning, most of the campuses have their own campus security, campus police officers, and they're patrolling all the time. They're always there to help you. So that's been my experience.
See, most of the universities are safe, and every university has their own campus police. But at the same time, I think the onus is on us to be safe. Like labs are open 24/7, and you'll see students walking around the campus at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. But it always helps, if you can ask your friend to accompany you. And I would say, don't stand out in the crowd. Blend in with the country, blend in with the people. ఇంత గోల్డ్ వేసుకొని తిరుగుతారు కొంతమంది. You'll always come across people like that. Don't do that. Try to blend in with the people there and be aware of your surroundings. Don't stand out, ante.
I do also want to say, when you were speaking, that a lot of places now have new programs that are designed to allow people, if it's late at night, to call someone, and there are student volunteers that will come and accompany you home. So if obviously part of it is what are the safety issues in different cities, it's going to be very different on the concerns. But if you don't feel safe, then the university definitely or should have resources that's going to help you feel safe, which includes having somebody accompany you home. It includes ride sharing, includes other things that are designed to make you feel safe as a student.
And just in line with, like, even simple examples, when I was a student myself and we used to come back late from labs, you can even ask the police department to accompany you back home. They do that. And they're very supportive. You don't have to fear them. Even ఒక్కొక్కసారి మనకి కాల్ చేయడానికి, if we feel that we're in trouble and we can't even do that, all you need to is every 500 meters ఒక emergency phone line ఉంటుంది. At least on my campus there was, and most campuses I can tell you for a fact they are. A phone receiver drop చేసేస్తే immediately, in no time, the campus security will reach you. So they are really, really safe places for students. There's a lot of support available on campus. International Student Office law, there's a special security team, there's like a special team for sexual harassment if you feel that at any point you're on the receiving end of any of that. So do know what your rights are, and that's why I'll tell you that international student orientation is very important. The 1 week before your classes start, you'll have an orientation program. Adi please attend avandi. I know it's exciting to go to a new country, and then a lot of people think abba deenki evaru eltaru or something like that. Don't do that. Go and attend it. There's a lot of useful information that you can get to know in that 1 week, and all that information will help you be safe on campus. And you can come back and tell your parents these things. You can call them and tell them that these are the things that are there to support us, and they'll be happy here too, because it's important that they're not worrying about you all the time. You're so far away, right? So please talk to your parents as well. I know some people go there and you're very busy or you're enthralled by a new place, but don't forget to just let people back home know that you're safe, and there is a lot of support available for you as a student away on campus, and maybe share contacts of your roommates and things like that in case they're having a tough time trying to reach you. And meer ikkada em rules follow avtaru, like not going out into dark alleys alone, and not getting into trouble and not standing out like.
And then most of the campuses have shuttle services that run pretty late into the night, like around 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. So use the facilities that the university will be providing. And chala sarlu, when there is a main road that you can take to reach your college building, often there will be a shortcut, dark alleys or anything. So just try avoiding those kind of roads and places.
Can a student travel while on an OPT?
So part of your question, you should probably speak with the international office at the university, because there are different stages of OPT, right? There's a stage where you finish your program, but you're applying for OPT, you're waiting for the actual work authorization to come. So without getting too technical, because it's probably not interesting for most people, once you're working and you have your actual work authorization card, then everything is generally fine when you come. We may ask for some evidence showing that you're actually working, but there is a period of time where it gets a little bit more complicated. And so I don't want to say in every circumstance that you can travel on OPT, okay?
Are there any companies in US that can help us, that can guide us in US other than schools?
What kind of guidance are we referring to?
Like any guidance depending upon like after studying, what can we do, like after hours? Or the courses which may be useful to us in future or anything like that?
Honestly, I'm not aware of any private organizations that are doing that. I'm pretty sure Shravani will be better able to answer that. But every campus, just the way we have placement officers here, every campus out there also has a careers department. And the people out there are usually helpful. When I was in the US, I got my job through the career office. And in fact, they went to the extent of setting up mock interviews for me, telling me what the company does and how to approach the company, what kind of language to use when interacting with these people. So there's a whole bunch of things that the campus or the careers department helps you with. But outside of that, I'm not sure. I'm not aware of any such companies myself.
It's great to know that Pallav had such a good experience with the Career Services Office. Again, there are wonderful resources available on campus. So, and all these are for free because you're a student on a US university campus. I would assume that a private organization would charge you for something like that. So when you do have a free resource that's on your campus, that's willing to help you, please make use of all those resources and do not fall into the trap of any private company, because it's very hard for you as a student to judge whether they're legitimate or not, and there's no way to do that effectively. So you'd rather depend on a career services office or some seniors and just your own networking and the PR that your professors, they're great resources. A lot of times most of the professors on US university campuses have some kind of industry experience. They're already collaborating with some industry that's in the surrounding area. So just talk to them, have a word with them. They probably know someone in a company somewhere. Ask them if they can make that connect with you. So as a student, it all depends on how aware you are on campus. You have to keep your eyes and ears open, and you have to go and take the initiative to make use of all those services. No one's going to come and serve them to you on a silver platter. You just have to make use of all those services.
ఆలోచిస్తుంటే నాకు ఒక్క పాయింట్ అనిపించింది ఏంటంటే మేబీ సట్లీ ద గ్రేయర్ సైడ్ ఆఫ్ ద క్వశ్చన్ ఇస్ ఇప్పుడు మనం బీటెక్లో జనరల్లీ 4th ఇయర్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ చేస్తున్నప్పుడు ఏదో కంపెనీకి వెళ్ళి డబ్బులు ఇచ్చేసి ప్రాజెక్ట్ తెచ్చుకుంటాము. అట్లాంటి స్కోప్ అయితే 100% ఉండదు. స్ట్రైట్ ఫార్వర్డ్. మీరు ఈ మధ్య సిస్టమ్స్ ఎట్లా ఉన్నాయంటే అక్కడ క్లాస్ వర్క్ ఇస్తే ఆ క్లాస్ వర్క్ని అమీర్పేట్కి ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ చేసి డాలర్స్ ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ చేసి హోంవర్క్ ఇంపోర్ట్ చేసుకుంటున్నారు. చేయొచ్చు, అది ఈరోజు చేస్తున్నారు. బట్ లక్షలు పోస్తున్నారు. యు ఆర్ ఇన్వెస్టింగ్ ఇయర్స్ ఆఫ్ యువర్ టైమ్ అండ్ ఎనర్జీ. Do you want to do that? Is that the reason why you're in the US? Is a question that you have to ask yourself. Right. Atlantic చేసిన తర్వాత what's the point of going all the way there? I mean, you might as well pay back channel లో ఏదో డబ్బులు ఇచ్చేసి ఏదో కంపెనీలో ఇక్కడే ఉద్యోగం తెచ్చేసుకోవచ్చు. Right. So if that is, I'm not sorry, I'm not accusing or implying anything, but for those who are thinking along those lines, what my strong suggestion is, do not go for those. You're investing lakhs and lakhs of rupees, you're investing hours and hours of time. ఇక్కడే ఇప్పటికే 2 గంటలు కూర్చున్నారు. ఏదో నలుగురు మాట్లాడితే ఇంతమంది 2 గంటలు కూర్చోవాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు కదా. You're still sitting here because you're interested in moving ahead in your career, right? So make the right efforts, do things in the right way. And one thing is, US is a very mature system compared to here. So because of the lack of maturity, because of lack of regulatory authority of order on everything, you get access to these Amirpet centers or companies or fake companies that are giving you projects, but in the US that won't be possible. They're much more mature networks. Of course, mana daggara consultancies ane concept telisinde. I won't go into that now, it will extend the conversation. But generally speaking, do your own work. Do not hire agencies to do things for you. That will hurt you in the longer run.
I'm doing masters in statistics. I prefer to come to US to do MS. I like to choose analytical field. Which course should I prefer?
Analytics, I appreciate the thought that you want to get into analytics. It's a massively exploding field right now. And given the amount of data that we are producing in the world, it is bound to be a very, very lucrative field going forward as well. But when I think about analytics, I think about data, I think about visualization. Again, I will think about machine learning. I will think about big data and cloud computing as well. So even within analytics, there's different verticals that you can get into. And when you're thinking about these verticals, you're most likely looking at computer science departments. So again, don't quote me on this. I'm not giving you exact career guidance, but I'm just thinking about the broader strategies here. So you're most likely looking at computer science departments. And when you're looking at those, identify the best computer science department on a general level, and then dig a little deeper. All the while we have been talking about researching departments and professors, right? So once you think about computer science departments, look at specific colleges by using rankings on USA Today or whatever else. Or you can even, in fact, one of the new websites that is coming up really well in India is Careers 360. And there's a bunch of other ones, but Careers 360 is the one that I'm aware of. If you say you want to get into analytics, they'll give you a bunch of options in terms of what universities to consider or what career paths to consider, etc. Get onto this website, do your own research about computer science departments across various colleges, look at what the professors are doing, and then make your own call.
I want to know what are the other courses apart from medical and engineering departments that a student can study and get job in USA.
The US offers degrees in some of the most interesting things that you can ever imagine. You, like I said before, me degree customize chesukovalanukuna chesukochu. Go with maybe like a major in something if you're interested in like, you know, history or sociology, and you can do a minor in photography if that's what you want. So based on what your interests are, you can choose whatever you like. There's a very good website called www.petersons.com, Petersons, and you can go and check. It's like a directory. Initially there used to be books, and now they've converted into a website where you can see which university is offering what courses, and you can choose accordingly. So based on what your interests are, you can choose to do a degree in anything that you think you're interested in the US. It may be called different things. So when you're checking for keywords, just have that in mind and try to, you know, check for related things. And some universities may be offering a course that's related, but it's not a degree in that course. You can go there and do a degree and do a concentration in this area that you're looking at.
Who can guide students in better way while the students are in search of employment sponsorship?
See, when you speak about employment sponsorship, again, every university has an international students department. They are your best bet. You'll have to go and talk to them. For sponsorship related, I mean, if visa is your question, but if your question is about how to look for a job or just visa?
Just visa.
Yeah, I think international student services department would be your best bet.
I want to know what is the major difference between USCFI and agents counseling?
I think it's a very important one. So like I said earlier, we are your official source of information on higher education in the US. We've been set up by the US Department of State. So we're officially a US government program. And we help students navigate through the process. The difference I would say is I wouldn't do the application for you like some people in the market probably do. So మేము మీకు resources అన్ని provide చేస్తాము through the 5 steps that I spoke to you about. Every step లో guide చేస్తూ ఉంటాము, కానీ I'm not going to do your application for you. And that's how US higher education works. Nobody is going to do anything for you. You have to do it by yourself. We're here to support you at every step. If you're stuck anywhere, that's where we jump in, and we have the resources to support you. We have the expertise to support you, but we're not going to be doing anything for you. So if you're looking for someone maybe who can write your SOP, which you shouldn't be looking for, because you have to write it by yourself, we're not going to write it for you. But if you need help with editing it, if you think that, you come and say, ma'am, I'm not very sure whether this paragraph is in the right place, or can you please review it for me once, I'd be very happy to do that for you. Right? And if you think, not just with an SOP or anything, like, even with guidance related to financial things, you come and tell me that, this, like I said earlier, I'm looking for a university within this budget. We have something called financial aid tables, which we keep records of where students have gone from India to the US in the past, what their GRE score was, what university they got into, how much scholarship they got from that university, what other admits they got. We record all this data and keep it in our office so that students like you can come and access this and then understand, which universities are offering what kind of scholarships for students. So it's a very useful resource. Again, it's free. All you need to do is schedule an appointment and come and let me know that I want to use these financial aid tables, and that's how you can get more. And it can help you shortlist your universities also. If you're really looking for a university that's giving you a lot of aid, financial aid in a particular area, you can get that information from those tables. So we have a bunch of services like that. We have these webinars that I spoke to you about. So all of the services we have are, again, unbiased. I'm not going to tell you, go to this university, because nobody is paying me to do that. I'm neutral, and we support every accredited university in the United States. It's about you as a student finding a good university that is a good fit for you, that is the best fit for you, right? And that's how Education USA is different.
Recent changes in OPT has impacted the students on OPT. The changes of getting ahead has decreased. Is USA government working towards this situation?
So as I mentioned earlier, I am not familiar with immediate changes to the OPT program. At this point, I think we have to kind of wait and see what changes may or may not be instituted. Obviously, there were changes not too long ago to actually provide for a longer period of OPT for students in a STEM field, and so it's a little bit difficult to know what will change in the near future. As I mentioned before, if there is some change, usually there is some amount of lead time so that students can kind of plan and understand what the change may be. But I don't have more information on what any changes may be. It's actually administered by a different department within the United States. So unfortunately, that's all the information I can provide at this time. Thanks.
Into the US, there is two categories of educations, STEM and non-STEM. Okay, so according to my information, 31% of STEM students are choosing the non-STEM job categories. And I got the reasons is the salary and the lack of skills. In the 31%, majority is only for females. So can you justify this one?
It's true that you have STEM and non-STEM courses, engineering and math, and non-STEM is everything else. It's actually the opposite. At least what I'm aware of is most of the people and most of the jobs are in the STEM area, and that's why there is the extension in the OPT period for them. If you're a STEM student and you're doing an OPT or a CPT in a non-STEM area, that may be illegal because your OPT or your CPT has to be in your area of study. So I think it's very important. For those of you who don't know what OPT and CPT are, I think I should just elaborate a little bit on that. CPT is curricular practical training, which is like an internship, where if you finish a certain amount of courses, usually it's 9 months of coursework, you're allowed to do 40 hours of work a week, usually in your area of study, which is the CPT. That's like an internship. It has to be in your area of study. That's why it's called curricular practical training. Something that will help towards getting the practical knowledge of whatever you're studying theoretically. So it has to, the requirement is that it has to be in your area of study. So someone's doing an internship in a non-STEM area, if they're studying in STEM, that most likely is illegal. So you should be wary of that. OPT, on the other hand, is optional practical training. This is after you graduate, and you're given like a grace period to find a job, a certain amount of days. And if you do find a job within that period, you're allowed to work in the US. It's like an official work permit. You're allowed to work in the US for 12 months. And then if you're STEM, you get an extension of another 2 years. If it's non-STEM, it's 12. In some cases, non-STEM students get an extension of 6 months, so a total of 18 months. And for STEM areas, it's about a total of 36 months.
I'm Professor Rangasai from JB Institute of Engineering and Technology. I help the students also indirectly with the help of higher education agencies, those who seek for higher education want to go. Students come and ask some of the questions. Now I have a question and it has 3 parts. It's only an extension of the question already asked regarding the accreditation. Now, there are some universities who claim that they are accredited or under accreditation, and students fall prey to it. And then finally they find the fee structure and all is low, and therefore they apply for that and then they get F20s. Will there be any check at the time of issuing visa? Or the US consulate, will they stop issuing visas or students going to such university? Number 2, it was already asked, a course while it is under progress, suddenly the accreditation is withdrawn. Now, what are the factors under which earlier, not what were the factors under which earlier such cases happened, so that the student can look at the strength of the university where such cases will be remote, especially they will happen with universities which are not of high repute.
The website that I mentioned earlier, the Council for Higher Education Accreditation, www.chea.org, is your one-stop shop. The USDA, the US government, has a list of schools as well. It's the same. The universities are the same that are there on CHEA and on the US government's website. However, it's just a little more user-friendly because you can put in the name of your university and get what accreditation, what accrediting body is accrediting that university. So that's a really, really useful resource. It's only up to the student to go and check whether, like I said, it's a voluntary process. Nobody is going to enforce it. There is no Ministry for Education in the US like we have here. Right? All universities are independent. That's why they have their own fee structure, they have their own rules, and they have, they're independent to decide how they want to function. They have that autonomy. It's not enforced upon them by any governing agency or body. So the onus is completely upon the student. I would say that if a student is falling prey to such a situation, 50% the student is also to blame in such a situation. You have to be an informed consumer. And the only way to actually ensure that you are reaching that, you are meeting the requirements of the university is by strengthening your profile. So it's always a good thing to get good scores, to have a good GPA, because you're going and spending so much time and resources. If you do have all this in place, it opens up a lot of more options for you. Like I said, a lot of times accreditation is also university-wide, but your department, it's good to check if the department is also accredited. Check if you're going for a technical program, look for ABET accreditation. If you're going for a business program, look for a particular business kind of an accreditation. So ensure that you have all this information before you decide to go. You know, once you go there and you fall into a situation where you have to transfer and all of that, it does pose problems. The government per se does not offer any support to help students transfer. I'm sure both the universities, the one you're transferring from to the one you're transferring to, will help you go through this process as seamlessly as possible. However, you'd rather just do your research well from here before you go, and then ensure that you don't fall into any trouble there.
I'm studying EEE engineering now. As of now, EEE is tough in US. The subjects are something, people don't prefer EEE doing in US. They prefer other countries. Actually, all my relatives are in USA. I want to change my subject. Is it preferable to change my subjects?
Yeah, that's, you can change. There's no harm in that at all. And that's the beauty and the flexibility of the higher education system in the US. However, a lot of universities will have some prerequisites. You know, if you're going for a master's degree, they expect you to have a foundation in your bachelor's degree in a certain area. You know, it's not like you're going to go and you're just going to do very basic stuff. Master's is like you're delving deep into a certain area. So you have to have that foundation that you need, that you should have got from your BTech or whatever undergraduate degree that you have. If you're doing something that's related, that's not very far, it's still easier. However, if you're making a huge change, you should have a justification of why you're making that change and how prepared you are for that change. It has to be there, because you're going to suffer if you go there without any foundation, without any background. You cannot keep up pace to do a master's degree if you don't have the foundation, right? If you're going to switch from EEE to, say, industrial engineering, I don't think you have the preparedness to be able to do that, right? If it's related, it's still all right. How you can supplement that is, if you already know for a fact that you don't like what you're doing right now and you know that you want to change to something else, do some online courses. There's a bunch of resources available. There are even courses that you can do here privately. like some languages, your MATLAB or some other C language, whatever it is, you know, you guys are the experts, you're the engineers, you know what you need. Check what prerequisites those classes need in one of the universities that you have in mind. Try and supplement those courses. You know, there's on Coursera and websites like that, there are a bunch of massive open online courses. They're free, they're things that you can do, at least to show that you're making an effort and you have that foundation and you have a justification of why you're making the switch, right? It's for you, it's not for anybody else.
On March 2016, Department of Homeland Security in the US gave a extension for STEM students from 29 months to 36 months. And now again on March 2017, Honorable President of United States, Donald Trump, he gave a statement that he's going to reverse the extension. And on the other hand, as of my knowledge, HR 670, that is a High Skill and Integrity Fairness Act 2017, which is of course introduced in the US on March 2017, I guess. So according to this act, they said that a person who is less than the salary of $130,000 is going to be scrapped out. And again, there is some HR 1303, that is H1 and L1 Visas Reform Act 2017. It says that not greater than 50% of H1B visas are acceptable in any US companies. So seeing this, there is a lot of pressure for a student who has a dream to study in US and do a job. And is it really very difficult for a student to find a job that is greater than $130,000?
I mean, I can't provide advice on how likely it is that a student will be able to make $130,000 in the United States. There's not really an answer to that question. It certainly depends on what field you're in. It depends on how well you do. It depends on what your employer is. Is it possible to make $130,000 in the U.S.? Sure, it is possible to make $130,000 in the U.S., but that's a very high wage, and so a lot of students coming out of a master's degree program, that would be a very high wage to earn coming out of a master's degree. I mean, that being said, on the bill, I just don't think that I remember hearing about it back in March. I've certainly tried to keep track of what's going on, but I haven't really heard anything concrete. I don't think a lot of people know exactly what's going to happen. And so I know that it's caused a lot of conversation here because there are so many people that go and work in the United States on H-1B. Before it was $60,000, what is going to change? I understand, like I said earlier, you have a lot riding on a U.S. education, so you want to know, hey, is this going to change? Could the OPT rules change? How will that affect me? What about this potential change in wages? How will that affect me? I know it's not satisfying, but there's just, at this point, there aren't really clear answers to your questions. So there is a lot of conversation about them, about what may or may not change. But until we see something concrete come out of Congress that says, the H-1B wage will be raised to $130,000, or the OPT rule will change on this date. I don't want to speculate on it. I don't think anybody really knows.
I'm really surprised with the amount of research that you guys did. I mean, it's వాస్తవానికి నేను వెళ్ళినప్పుడు దీంట్లో 10% రీసెర్చ్ కూడా చేయలేదు, which is wrong on my part. I'm not saying you shouldn't do, but it's absolutely brilliant that you guys have done so much research. I just wish and hope that you invest the same amount of time and energy in pursuing your degrees genuinely. And US is a fun place to be. Again, have fun. There'll be a lot of cultural surprises. There's no point in ruining the surprise. Surprises are also a good thing. So just enjoy US. Keep an open mind. As Arpita said, you have to be with an open mind whenever you go to the US, right? It's a culturally vastly different setup. Just keep that in mind, and good luck.
So what I will say, just kind of, again, stepping away from my consular officer hat, while I was in the US, before I joined the Department of State, I actually worked for the University of Michigan, a very large university, in their international center. And I was the one actually sending students I-20 so that they could go to the consulate and apply for a visa. And so I think a lot of people in the US are very supportive of the idea of students coming here. I did this job for a number of years, and I thought that it was great that American universities benefit from so many smart people coming to study there. I would help those students adjust to life in the US. I'd say, welcome to the United States. We're so happy to have you here. You're in Michigan, it's cold, you're coming from South India. first thing you do, buy a jacket, right? Buy a jacket because it's going to get cold very quickly. But I love doing that work in the US, and it was one thing that motivated me to join the Department of State. I think international education is hugely important in India. I think it's hugely important in the US. And so I wholeheartedly support that mission. And when I'm at the window, again, we're very limited in the amount of time we have to talk to you. But that doesn't mean that I don't enjoy the conversation. That doesn't mean that I'm not trying to get as much information from you as I can to make the best decision on, is this person qualified? Can they pay for it? So I know that you probably hear from maybe your friends or other people that, oh, it was so fast. It was only 3 minutes or it was 2 minutes and they didn't ask me all the questions I wanted to be asked. That's just kind of the nature of the process that we're under. But that does not mean that we as consular officers don't take it very seriously and that we don't try to make the best decision for you.
Okay, so I guess I'd just like to say that you're going to have probably the best experience of your life. Again, speaking personally this time, the US higher education system and just the universities there and everything, they're probably the best in terms of facilities and labs and resources available on campus. Please keep your eyes and ears open on campus, be aware students. And just go, if you're going on an F1 visa, please go there with an idea to study first. Work will come later. I know all of you have a bunch of questions. I know it's a larger life plan and a goal for you to eventually work and make money and all of that. But in the process, don't miss out on the best part, which is going to be, you're going to be a student on a US university campus. They're going to be the 2 or the 4 best years of your life probably. Take that all in, soak it all up, enjoy it. And I hope you do get the opportunity to do internships and pursue your OPT as well. But when you're applying for a student visa, first think about the education part of it, especially when you're going on an F1 visa. And that'll help you figure out your application and even prepare you well for your visa interview. So good luck, everybody. And please do feel free to approach Education USA at any point. We're here to help you. We're very easy to access and we're free and unbiased. So please make use of the resource that you have.
The 3 of them have shared some wonderful points and I really don't have anything to add. But I would say typically what happens is as Indians, we tend to stick with Indians. Class lo gaani, baita gaani. We try to be part of that close group. We fail to interact with people from other cultures. You know, the beauty about studying in the US is you get to meet so many people from across the world. Prati class lo untaru. So just try to come out of your close-knit group of friends, make friends with others, learn about new cultures, travel as much as you can and make the most out of your life in the US.
Firstly, US Consulate ni specially thank chestunnamo for all the time and the information imparted. And all the panelists, Arpita, Shravani, Will and Pallav, thanks a lot for your time. So we'll చెప్పింది మొత్తం ఒకసారి సమ్ అప్ చేసుకుంటే స్టూడెంట్స్ అందరికీ ఫస్ట్లీ వీసా దగ్గర ఇబ్బంది రాకూడదు అంటే ఇంగ్లీష్లో ఫ్లూయెన్సీ కావాల్సిన డాక్యుమెంట్స్ అన్నీ క్యారీ చేయాలి. అండ్ ఈ మధ్య కాలంలో మనం వింటున్న హేట్ క్రైమ్స్ గురించి పెద్దగా వరి అవ్వద్దు. ప్రతి క్యాంపస్లో కూడా క్యాంపస్ పోలీస్ ఉంటారు. దే విల్ టేక్ కేర్ ఆఫ్ యువర్ సెక్యూరిటీ అన్నది మనం అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి. అపార్ట్ ఫ్రమ్ దట్ యూనివర్సిటీ అక్రెడిటేషన్ని ముందుగానే రీసెర్చ్ చేసి చెక్ చేసుకున్న తర్వాత యూనివర్సిటీని సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకోవాలి. అండ్ చట్టానికి విరుద్ధంగా ఏమీ చేయొద్దు. యూనివర్సిటీ ర్యాంకింగ్స్తో పాటుగా మీకు ఏది సరైందో, మీకు ఏది బెస్ట్ ఫిట్టో అది కరెక్ట్గా చూస్ చేసుకుంటే ఐ థింక్ యువర్ స్టే ఇన్ ద యూఎస్ విల్ బీ మెమరబుల్. ఆ తర్వాత ఎడ్యుకేషన్ తర్వాత వర్క్ విల్ ఆటోమేటికలీ ఫాలో. హోప్ ఈ ఇంటరాక్టివ్ సెషన్ మీ అందరికీ చాలా యూస్ఫుల్గా ఉందని మేము ఆశిస్తున్నాము. అండ్ టీవీలో చూస్తున్న మీ అందరికీ కూడా చాలా ఇన్ఫర్మేటివ్గా ఈ సెషన్ సాగిందని అనుకుంటున్నాము. థ్యాంక్స్ ఫర్ వాచింగ్. దట్స్ ఆల్ ఫర్ నౌ. చూస్తూనే ఉండండి TV9.